Welcome back to the channel, where we break down history, myth, and belief without the fluff. Today we're looking at the revival of Norse paganism in Norway. Not just the rituals and symbols, but the identity, conflict, and evolution behind it. This narration is based on academic research, including the work of scholar Mattias Gardell and others studying modern pagan movements. We've adapted it to focus on the facts, the context, and the real-world impact, cutting through hype to show how old gods still echo in a modern world. The complex landscape of Norse paganism in Norway represents a fascinating intersection of religious revival, political controversy, and cultural identity. This modern interpretation of ancient Nordic beliefs has evolved significantly since its re-emergence, shaped by unique local conditions and historical circumstances that set it apart from similar movements in other countries. The academic study of modern paganism has traditionally focused on Anglo-Saxon countries, leaving gaps in our understanding of how these practices manifest in different cultural contexts. The story begins in Norway during the early 1990s, amid a moral panic about Satanism that created a peculiar environment for pagan practitioners. During this period, media outlets and public discourse often lumped together various alternative spiritual and cultural movements, from genuine pagan practitioners to neo-Nazi groups and members of the black metal music scene. This conflation was particularly problematic as it coincided with a series of church arsons and violent acts associated with the black metal community, creating a challenging atmosphere for legitimate pagan groups seeking recognition. The media coverage and public reaction during this time contributed to a broader societal anxiety about alternative religious movements and their perceived threat to traditional Norwegian values. The roots of organized Norse paganism, or Ásatrú, in Norway can be traced back to the mid-1980s, though earlier forms existed in the 1930s with unfortunate connections to National Socialism. This historical connection to far-right ideologies has continued to influence public perception and internal debates within the movement. The movement gained official recognition in the 1990s, primarily through two main organizations, Bifrost and Foreningen Fornsed. These groups emerged with distinct identities and approaches, particularly regarding political alignment and racial ideology. Their divergent paths reflect the broader tensions within the movement between those seeking to preserve what they view as cultural heritage and those advocating for a more inclusive, modernized interpretation of Norse traditions. A crucial distinction exists between two main branches of Norse paganism, Odinism and Ásatrú. Odinism has often been associated with racial exclusivity and right-wing political ideologies, while Ásatrú has developed as a more inclusive religious movement with diverse political viewpoints. This division reflects a broader struggle within the community over identity and authenticity, especially as groups like Vigrid, a neo-Nazi organization, have attempted to appropriate Norse symbols and traditions for their own purposes. The ongoing tension between these different interpretations of Norse paganism has forced practitioners to carefully position themselves in relation to political ideologies and cultural authenticity. The evolution of Norwegian Ásatrú has been marked by several distinctive features that set it apart from similar movements in other countries. Unlike its American counterpart, the Norwegian movement has seen significant female leadership and participation, contributing to its unique character. This gender diversity has helped shape the movement's direction and priorities, moving it away from masculine-dominated interpretations common in other countries. The strong presence of women in leadership roles has influenced both the theological interpretations and practical manifestations of Norse paganism in Norway. Modern Norwegian Ásatrú has increasingly focused on religious liberty and advocacy for the separation of church and state, representing a significant shift from its earlier associations with extremist ideologies. This transformation demonstrates how the movement has worked to distance itself from the stigma of its past associations with Satanism and neo-Nazism, instead emphasizing its role as a legitimate religious movement in contemporary Norwegian society. This shift in focus has helped establish Ásatrú as a recognized religious organization while maintaining its distinctive cultural and spiritual identity. The development of Norse paganism in Norway illustrates the importance of understanding local context in religious movements. The unique combination of historical factors, cultural conditions, and political climate in Norway has produced a form of paganism distinct from similar movements in other countries, particularly those in Anglo-Saxon nations, where most academic research has traditionally focused. This local context has influenced everything from ritual practices to organizational structures and community relationships. The ongoing debates within the community about identity, authenticity, and political alignment reflect broader societal discussions about nationalism, cultural heritage, and religious freedom. These internal dialogues have helped shape the movement's evolution and its relationship with mainstream Norwegian society. The community has had to navigate complex questions about cultural appropriation, historical accuracy, and modern relevance while maintaining its spiritual integrity. The case of Norwegian Ásatrú serves as a compelling example of how religious movements adapt to and are shaped by their local environments. The movement's journey from the margins of society, through periods of controversy and misunderstanding, to its current status as a recognized religious organization, demonstrates the complex interplay between religious revival, cultural identity, and social acceptance. This transformation has required careful navigation of political sensitivities and public perceptions. The story also highlights the challenges faced by alternative religious movements in establishing legitimacy while dealing with attempts by extremist groups to co-opt their symbols and traditions. The success of Norwegian Ásatrú in navigating these challenges while maintaining its religious integrity offers valuable insights for understanding similar movements worldwide. The movement's experience demonstrates the importance of clear boundaries between religious practice and political ideology. The evolution of Norse paganism in Norway continues to demonstrate how religious movements can successfully navigate the complex intersection of traditional beliefs, modern society, and political pressures. Its development provides important lessons about the role of gender, the importance of clear identity boundaries, and the value of focusing on religious liberty and institutional reform rather than political ideology. The movement's ability to adapt while preserving its core spiritual values offers a model for other alternative religious movements facing similar challenges. The ongoing development of Norse paganism in Norway represents a dynamic process of negotiating between traditional practices and contemporary social values. This process involves continuous dialogue within the community about authenticity, inclusion, and the role of ancient traditions in modern life. The movement's success in establishing itself as a legitimate religious organization while maintaining its distinctive character demonstrates the potential for alternative religious movements to find their place in contemporary society.